Have you ever woken up one morning and felt it, that irreversible shift in perception? One day, you're moving through life like everyone else, playing the expected roles, nodding along to the script. Then, suddenly, something changes. The games people play, the hollow noise of social rituals, the plastic smiles that don't reach the eyes, you see through all of it, and there's no unseeing it. It's not just disillusionment, it's clarity. A quiet but undeniable realization, you're not like them anymore. If this resonates with you, you've crossed a threshold, one that can't be uncrossed. This isn't a phase or a mood. It's an awakening. Your inner Sigma has stirred. And once it's awake, brother, there's no forcing it back into submission. No amount of pretending, people-pleasing, or conformity will silence it again. It's a beast that refuses to be caged, and its growl is the voice of your truest self. You feel it, don't you? That quiet knowing in your gut? The way the world feels different now, like you've been let in on a secret most will never grasp? The 12 haunting signs of your Sigma awakening. This isn't just about being introverted or independent. It's deeper. It's a fundamental rewiring of how you see the world, how you move through it, and, most importantly, how it responds to you. Once you awaken your Sigma self, life doesn't just change, it unfolds differently. The rules no longer apply. The old cravings for validation, belonging, and external approval dissolve. In their place? A self-contained power that most will never understand. But how do you know for sure? How do you confirm that what you're experiencing isn't just a passing detachment, but the birth of something far more potent? That's what we're diving into today. The 12 unmistakable signs you've awakened your Sigma self, and why nothing will ever be the same again. A gift for those ready to embrace their power. Before we begin, I've got something for you, something rare. Sigma's Black Book of Untouchable Power. This isn't just another self-help guide. It's a manual forged from forbidden knowledge, the kind the elites don't want in your hands. Inside, you'll find the unspoken principles that transform men into forces of nature, unshakable, respected, and feared in equal measure. But heed this warning, this won't stay available for long. There's a reason this kind of power is kept hidden. If you're ready to claim yours, the link is in the description or pinned below. Grab it now, before it's gone for good. Now, let's begin. Number 1, the liberation of not needing a tribe anymore. There was a time when belonging meant everything to you. The group texts, the weekend plans, the unspoken pressure to show up and be part of the scene, it wasn't just socializing, it was survival. You measured your worth by how included you felt, how loud the laughter was when you walked into the room, how many invites piled up in your inbox. Back then, being alone felt like failure. But something shifted. Now, the very things that once gave you life feel like reruns of a show you've outgrown. The parties? Predictable. The group chats? Exhausting. The forced camaraderie? Transparent. You don't decline out of bitterness, you simply stop showing up because the return on investment isn't there anymore. And the most surprising part? The solitude doesn't hollow you out. It fills you. People notice before you do. Your friends joke about you, going monk mode, half teasing, half worried. Your family probes, asking if you're depressed, because their definition of happiness still hinges on social proof. Women who once took your attention for granted start double texting, not because they miss you, but because your absence now carries weight. Their validation doesn't land the way it used to. Here's the truth you're uncovering, you never really wanted a tribe. You were just conditioned to fear walking alone. But now that you've tasted the stillness, the clarity of your own company without the noise of others, you realize something revolutionary. The right people will find you when it's time. Until then, the silence isn't empty. It's sacred. And this? This is just the first layer peeling back. Number 2, the unshakable gift of seeing behind the mask. You walk into a room, and before a single word is spoken, you know. The guy holding court in the corner, his voice just a little too loud as he talks about his new car? You don't hear confidence. You feel the quiet tremor of insecurity beneath the performance. The woman laughing a beat too long at a mediocre joke? You don't see amusement. You sense the loneliness coiled beneath the sound, the desperation to be included. This isn't intuition. It's Sigma vision, the irreversible awakening to what's really being said beneath the words. At first, it's a curse. You almost wish you could unsee it, go back to the days when you took people at face value. But that door is closed now. You're fluent in the subtext most ignore, the micro-expressions, the tonal shifts, the way someone's energy tightens when they lie. And the wildest part? People sense that you see them. When you call out a half-truth, not with accusation, but with quiet observation, they freeze. Their eyes flicker with something between shock and fear, like you've just recited their deepest secret back to them. This isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. Once you've seen the masks for what they are, you can't pretend otherwise. And that knowledge? It becomes your greatest armor. Number 3, the unspoken power of silence that speaks volumes. There was a time when you felt compelled to fill every silence with explanations, to justify your choices, to defend your perspective, to make sure everyone in the room got you. You mistook verbosity for strength, oversharing for connection. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Now, you no longer rush to speak. You observe. You let conversations unfold like scenes in a play, studying the actors, noting the inconsistencies, absorbing what isn't being said. And when the moment calls for your voice, you realize, the most powerful statements often require no words at all. Your silence isn't passive. It's a force. It becomes a mirror, reflecting back at people what they'd rather not see. The insecure talk louder to fill the void. The manipulators grow uneasy when their tactics don't land. The liars? They unravel under the weight of a single, steady gaze. You've seen it happen, the way someone's voice cracks when they spin a half-truth, only for you to remain motionless, unimpressed. They expected an argument. Instead, they got the crushing clarity of their own dishonesty echoing back at them. This is Sigma energy in its purest form. It's not about withholding speech out of spite. It's the quiet confidence of a man who knows that true understanding doesn't need to be begged for, it's either present, or it's not worth chasing. And here's the paradox, the less you say, the more your presence expands. People lean in. They watch closer. They assign weight to your words because they're no longer drowned in noise. Silence, you realize, was never empty. It was the space where real power grew. Number 4, the transformative loneliness that forges unbreakable strength. Let's talk about the dirty secret of growth. It doesn't happen in a crowd. There's a reason so few people reach their potential, because the path demands periods of solitude so profound, most can't endure them. Not the melancholy loneliness of isolation, but the electric aloneness of a man sharpening himself in private. When your Sigma self awakens, your tolerance for counterfeit connection evaporates. You no longer panic at the thought of a quiet Friday night. You stop reaching for your phone to numb the silence with meaningless chatter. Why? Because you've learned something dangerous. The right kind of loneliness doesn't weaken you, it forges you. Those nights you'd have spent scrolling through old texts, hoping for a distraction? Now you sit with your thoughts, and they become allies. The weekends that once felt like a sentence when you had no plans? They become your secret weapon, hours spent reading, creating, strategizing while others drown their clarity in cheap validation. This isn't misanthropy. It's the ultimate act of self-respect. You're not rejecting people, you're refusing to dilute yourself for the comfort of company that demands you stay small. And with every hour spent alone, truly alone, without the crutch of others' noise, you undergo an invisible metamorphosis. While the crowd stays busy conforming, you're becoming something they won't recognize. Something they can't compete with. Because the man who's comfortable in the fire of his own solitude? He doesn't just walk paths, he creates them. Number 5, the sacred shift from seeking attention to commanding respect. There was a time when external validation was your oxygen. You measured your worth in likes, laughs, and the approving nods of people whose opinions shouldn't have mattered. The hunger to be liked was visceral, it dictated your choices, softened your edges, and kept you tethered to relationships and situations that drained you. But then, something fundamental shifted. You woke up to a brutal truth, being liked is fleeting, but respect is eternal. Now, your tolerance for disrespect is non-existent. The moment someone devalues your time, violates your boundaries, or treats your energy as disposable, you don't argue. You don't explain. You disappear. No grand exit, no emotional ultimatum, just a quiet, irreversible withdrawal. And the reaction is always the same, confusion, then panic. Because most people are conditioned to chase attention, not earn respect. They expect negotiations, second chances, the opportunity to manipulate your forgiveness. But you've rewritten the rules. Here's what they'll never admit, your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. Every time you walk away from someone who assumed you needed them, you stake a claim in uncharted territory, the kind of self-possession that leaves an imprint. They'll replay the moment in their mind, dissecting where they went wrong, even as they pretend it doesn't matter. But it does. Because you've shown them the rarest form of power, the ability to value yourself more than their approval. And with every silent exit, your Sigma foundation grows stronger. Number 6, the unshakable immunity to manipulation, and why it terrifies them. Think back to the version of you they preferred, the one who apologized too much, who twisted himself into knots to keep the peace, who absorbed guilt trips like they were his responsibility to carry. That man was easier to control, softer to exploit, more pliable to their games. That man no longer exists. The day your Sigma self awakened, you became manipulation-proof. Now, when someone tries to guilt you, your smirk unsettles them. When they attempt to shame you, your laugh echoes like a gunshot in the silence. Why? Because you see it, the desperation behind their tactics, the flimsy strings they're pulling, the entire puppet show they've mistaken for power. And you? You're not dancing anymore. You become an enigma they can't crack. Bribery? You're not for sale. Bullying? You're already 5 steps ahead. Seduction? You recognize the transaction beneath the flirtation. The most terrifying part? You're not even trying to be ruthless. You're simply unwilling to betray yourself for their comfort. And that's what shakes them to the core, the realization that their old tricks don't just fail, they expose them. Because a man who can't be controlled? That's a man they should have feared all along. The game is over. You're not a player anymore. You're the rulebook. Number 7, the sacred art of ruthless selection, how your inner circle becomes a fortress of authenticity. There comes a moment, quiet, unceremonious, yet utterly transformative, when your standards crystallize into something unbreakable. No manifesto is written, no grand declarations made. You simply wake up one morning and realize, the currency of your attention has appreciated beyond measure. Where once you tolerated certain behaviors out of loyalty or habit, now you find yourself instinctively withdrawing from anything that doesn't align with your evolved frequency. Old friends who coasted on history's momentum? Their free pass expires the moment their presence becomes an energy drain rather than an energy exchange. The coworker who stretches truth like taffy? Gone after the first detectable lie. The romantic interest who treats connection like a chess match? Checkmate, by your sudden, silent absence. This isn't anger or punishment. It's something far more powerful, disinterest. The ultimate demonstration of self-worth isn't rage, but the quiet closing of doors to what no longer serves you. You've come to understand that your time isn't just valuable, it's sacred. Your energy isn't merely finite, it's alchemical. Your peace isn't simply pleasant, it's the foundation upon which empires of self are built. Yes, the pruning hurts at first. Your social landscape becomes startlingly sparse, the invitations fewer. But in that newly cleared space grows something extraordinary, relationships that don't require you to shrink, to explain, or to compromise. These remaining connections are forged in truth, tested in fire. When you speak your authentic mind, they don't flinch, they nod in recognition. This isn't about building walls to keep people out, but about constructing gates with discernment. The key? Only those willing to meet you at your full height may pass through. And those who do? They're not just in your life, they're in your corner, in ways that matter. Number 8, the alchemy of misunderstanding, how being misread becomes your greatest strength. Awakening carries a paradoxical gift. The moment you stop desperately wanting to be understood is the moment you become truly powerful. Where once a label of cold or arrogant might have sent you scrambling to prove otherwise, now you simply observe these judgments with detached amusement. You've realized the profound truth: people's interpretations of you say far more about them than they ever could about you. Consider this: most wander through life barely comprehending their own motivations, their own contradictions, their own shadows. How then could they possibly map the terrain of your being with any accuracy? Their misreadings are inevitable, their projections unavoidable. And rather than resist this, you've learned to wield it. Being misunderstood becomes armor of the highest order. When people can't categorize you easily, they're forced to engage with you on your terms or not at all. Your mysteriousness isn't affectation, it's the natural byproduct of a mind that refuses to be simplified for others' comfort. The coworker who calls you distant simply can't fathom your depth of focus. The acquaintance who labels you arrogant mistakes your unwillingness to perform for ego. Let them. This selective visibility serves a greater purpose: it conserves your energy for what truly matters. No more wasted hours justifying your choices to those committed to misunderstanding you. No more dulling your edges to fit someone else's frame of reference. You move through the world with a new economy of self, giving fully where it's valued, withdrawing completely where it's not. Each time you resist the old urge to explain, to seek validation, to make yourself digestible, you reinforce a more authentic way of being. Your legend isn't written in the crowded spaces where approval is traded like currency, but in the quiet moments when you choose yourself over the noise. And with every such choice, your path becomes clearer, your purpose more undeniable, your presence more magnetic, not despite being misunderstood, but because of it. Number 9, the silent revolution, when actions become your only language. There was a time when you felt compelled to annotate your entire existence, justifying your choices, defending your boundaries, translating your motivations for an audience that often wasn't truly listening. You mistook explanation for validation, as if your worth depended on others' approval of your decisions. But somewhere along the journey of awakening, a fundamental shift occurred. You realized that the right people don't need footnotes to understand you. Now, you no longer dissect your no into palatable pieces for those who resent it. You don't justify walking away from what no longer serves you. You simply move, clean, decisive, untethered from the need for consensus. The people who matter? They already know. They sense the conviction behind your silence, the intention in your absence, the self-respect woven into your boundaries. No explanation required. And those who demand one? Their insistence tells you everything. They're not seeking understanding, they're seeking leverage, a loophole to debate, manipulate, or guilt you back into old patterns. But you're no longer a negotiable entity. Your life isn't a committee decision. This isn't stubbornness, it's evolution. You've learned that relentless self-justification is just another form of self-betrayal. So you conserve your energy for what matters, living, acting, building. The ones aligned with your frequency will recognize the strength in your quiet resolve. The others? Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Their confusion isn't your responsibility to clarify. Your power now lies in what you don't say. In the space between words, where your actions roar. Number 10, the hunger for depth, when small talk becomes suffocation. You used to play the game, nodding through mindless chatter about weather, traffic, and whatever vapid drama was trending that week. You'd force laughter at hollow jokes, feign interest in conversations that felt like chewing cardboard, all to avoid rocking the boat. But now? Your soul rejects the performance. You can feel it physically, the energy drain when dialogue stays shallow too long. Your body tenses. Your mind retreats inward. It's not disdain for others, it's your spirit's rebellion against the starvation of authentic connection. What you crave now is substance, the kind of exchange that leaves fingerprints on your soul. Not how's work, but what work actually means to you, beyond the paycheck. Not you seeing anyone, but what kind of love scares you to want? Not gossip about who did what, but what's the lie you're most afraid to admit you've believed? You're done with the surface. You want the undercurrent, the raw, unfiltered truths that most people hide beneath their curated personas. You want conversations that feel like archaeology, digging past the rubble of pleasantries to uncover the artifacts of real humanity. And when someone can't meet you in those depths, you no longer force yourself to tread water in the shallows. You'll choose the company of your own thoughts, rich, alive, electrically real, over the slow suffocation of another empty interaction. Because you've learned, silence with substance is infinitely more nourishing than noise without meaning. This isn't elitism. It's survival. The deeper you go into your own truth, the less you can tolerate anything less. And that's not isolation, it's invitation. A beacon to those who also speak in the language of depth. They'll find you. And when they do, the connection will feel like coming home. Number 11, the unshakable presence, when your energy speaks before you do. At first, you don't even notice it, the way conversations hush slightly when you enter a room, the way eyes flick toward you before you've said a word, the way people seem to either lean in or recoil without you doing a damn thing. It's not arrogance. It's not some calculated dominance play. It's something far more unsettling, to them, at least. You've become a walking anomaly. Your energy isn't loud, it's dense. A self-containment so absolute it unnerves those still chained to external validation. You don't scan the room for approval. You don't adjust your posture to seem more approachable. You simply exist, fully rooted in your own presence, and that alone is enough to destabilize people. The insecure coworker? He mistakes your quiet for judgment and scrambles to fill the silence with boasts. The social climber? She resents you because her usual tactics, flattery, gossip, manufactured charm, don't land. The wounded egoist? He fears you because your peace highlights his chaos. Here's the truth they can't articulate. A man who needs nothing from others is the most terrifying thing in the world to those who need everything. You've become a mirror, reflecting back the parts of themselves they've buried, and they'll either hate you, admire you, or flee from you because of it. But you're not trying to provoke a reaction. You're just done performing. And that untouchable authenticity? It bends the room toward you without a single word. Number 12, the revelation, what you thought was brokenness was actually your power. For years, you wore your differences like scars. Too quiet. Why couldn't you just be more outgoing? Too intense. Why did you have to take things so seriously? Too independent. Why couldn't you just go along with the group? You contorted yourself, smiling when you didn't mean it, laughing when nothing was funny, nodding along to conversations that felt like sandpaper on your soul, all because you believed the lie that you were the problem. That if you just tried harder, you'd finally fit. But here's the revelation that changes everything. You were never broken. You were engineered differently. Those traits you tried to suppress? They weren't flaws. They were the very wiring that allows you to see what others miss, endure what others can't, and walk paths that would terrify the average person. Your quiet? It's the observational prowess of a strategist. Your intensity? It's the fuel for unshakable focus. Your sensitivity? It's the radar for authenticity in a world of fakes. Your independence? It's the refusal to outsource your worth. The moment you stop apologizing for these traits, the moment you stop dulling yourself to make others comfortable, is the moment the world rearranges itself around you. You realize you weren't failing at being normal. You were succeeding at being you, and that's exactly what the world needed all along. Now that you know? Now that you've felt the power of your true design? There's no going back to sleep. The real you is awake. And he's just getting started. The awakening is just the beginning. This isn't the end. It's the first real breath of a life you were always meant to live. The doubts, the loneliness, the moments you thought you were too much or not enough, they weren't signs you were broken. They were the friction of a man outgrowing his old skin. Now, you walk differently. You see differently. You are different. Not because you changed, but because you finally stopped trying to. The world will try to convince you to shrink again. To apologize. To dull your edges for the comfort of those who can't handle your light. Don't. The Sigma in you isn't a phase. It's not a mask. It's the unshakable core that was there all along, waiting for you to trust it. So keep going. Keep refining. Keep unfolding. The path ahead isn't easy, but it's yours. And that makes all the difference. Now rise. Thank you for watching.